Welcome to Six Count. I'm your host, Sarah Wild, bringing you the voices and stories of jazz from Durham, North Carolina.
Donovan Cheatham on the drum set, Paul Creel on bass.
Donovan, Andrew, and Paul, thank you all so much for speaking with Six Count this evening. We're here at the Sharp 9 Gallery in Durham for the release of Volume 1, Thrio's first album. So just to get us started, will each of you share your name and what instrument you play for our listeners?
Yeah, I'm Paul Creel, and I play upright bass.
Donovan Cheatham, lead battery.
What's up? Andrew Berinson, play the piano.
Tonight's event is part of a series of release parties happening throughout the Triangle. I got to see you all at the North Star Church of the Arts last weekend, which was wonderful. Yeah. I'm sure it feels a bit surreal for something you've planned for so long to finally happen. So just tell us about how the early reception has been so far. What have been some highlights?
It's been great. We feel super supported from all of our Triangle friends and family. We all, live here and play here in various capacities. So this is kind of just really an awesome time for people to come and support us who know us and see us every day. We even have some students who have come out to check us out because we all teach, and we've had some other friends and family coming out. So it's been good. What do you guys think?
We're like a community-based band, so we like to serve our community a lot. And the best way to do it for us is to play the music and play at all our favorite spots around in the Triangle. So it's been awesome to come through as a band instead of playing with like other projects, So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, it's just been a real joy to be at a place in my life where I have two brothers that share a vision for this music, and that we share a love for one another, and that it always comes through on the bandstand. And I also think you can hear it on the record, it really comes through. And I think that's, at least for me personally, and I think I could speak for all of us, that's the real kind of crowning joy or achievement of the whole thing, is the enjoyment of the process, the camaraderie, and also the way it was captured on the record. It's really, we're proud of that, and that's beautiful.
I love the focus on the local. Six Count is a hyper-local jazz podcast, and so it's great to hear how building the community and making it for the community is such an emphasis for you all. And doing this release tour of sorts, I'm sure, has also been a way of getting a bead on the Triangle region's jazz scene post-pandemic. Are you encouraged by what you've seen? The recent abrupt closure of Sea Grace, one of Raleigh's two speakeasies, was certainly disheartening for me, but there could be some venues that will rise up to fill the void.
The closing of Sea Grace was rough. I guess now that it's finally closed, I guess I can say I've been sneaking in there since I was in high school. And, so it's definitely sad to see it go. But there's an excellent community of musicians in the area. So as long as there are venues that will support us, there will be music in the Triangle.
Yeah, that venue was definitely a stop on the tour. And once we got word that the venue was closing, it was kind of disheartening. But, that was one of the first places that I think we all kind of were able to check out the scene and play on and be hired by various people. So that closing is kind of surreal in itself. R.I.P. Sea Grace.
And I liked as well how it was a true listening room where the seats were framed towards the band and not, put off in the corner somewhere, which is so often the case for bars. So that was also one of the sadder points for me.
Yeah, true.
But I'd love to get back to the album and hear some of the thinking behind it. What was the vision for Volume 1, and just what's the story that you're trying to tell with this music?
I think actually it's a little bit alluding back to what I was talking about earlier, that the theme of the music and the theme of the album is our sort of shared story together as musicians and friends as a part of this community. And all the music on there is a representation of that. It's a representation of our musical interests and in all their various forms. And we all have a broad palette of things that we listen to. And so we're just bringing that to the table and trying to play music that's actually honest and we enjoy doing. So that's, I think, at least from my perspective, that's kind of the vision behind the album.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear about that, your different backgrounds and how those have all contributed in a way to Volume 1.
I grew up in the marching band. I did marching band in high school. And so after high school, I wanted to play drums, and I figured I'd audition for schools, and that brought me to the Triangle eventually. And I met Andrew at North Carolina Central University. Shout out to our fellow Eagles who might be listening. Studied jazz there. It took me a while to get out of school, but I prevailed, and now we're here. And that's Donovan Cheatham's background.
Andrew?
I grew up in Raleigh, and I stayed here. I've since graduating from Enloe. Shout out Eagle. I'm a double Eagle. Wow. Enloe Eagles to North Carolina Central University Eagle. But yeah, I'm from the Triangle, and I ended up staying here, and I couldn't be happier. Central really formed me in terms of my perspective on playing and what it means to be a jazz musician. North Carolina Central University has Branford Marsalis and Joey Calderazzo as artists in residence, as well as when we were there, Dr. Ira Wiggins leading the jazz program there. And that is such a vital kind of heart and lifeblood of the entire jazz community in this region. So being a part of that led us to playing all sorts of things, playing with different people. And, one thing about this group is kind of like what Paul was saying, just a sense of we have a shared vision. We have a shared idea of what we want to do and how we want to do it. And that's the special magic juice for Thrio,
And Paul?
Yeah, so my story's a little longer than these dudes because I could almost be their dad. No, I'm just playing. No, I grew up in Northeast Florida, and it's different down there. I grew up listening to rock music and a wide variety of things, all the stuff that was going on in the 90s, and came up playing in kind of rock bands and funk bands, and but always with an eye towards experimentation and improvisation and see what might happen. And then got into school. I did go to study some music in school at University of North Florida, which back in the late 90s, there was a whole slew of just amazing musicians there, that both on faculty and guys that were coming through, who have since gone on to have awesome careers, and studied at Florida State and then moved up here. And here I am still trying to find some decent notes to play on the bass. Every once in a while a good one will come out.
Well, it's interesting to hear just the diversity of experiences you each have had, but that has also brought you together. And I'm curious to know, where would you put the album on the spectrum of jazz tradition to experimentation and innovation? And can you also speak to how you balance that tradition with exploration?
In terms of tradition, we're trying to swing, period. I don't know how many jazz records y'all have heard recently, but swing is sometimes hard to find. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's but we're trying to swing. You know what I'm saying? That's part of. We're talking about having some T-shirts about quarter notes coming out because this is a powerful note, the quarter note. Anyway, but yeah, we're trying to swing. But then in terms of innovation, we have a lot of original music on there. We have a couple tunes I wrote, a couple tunes Paul wrote. Some band, all of the arrangements were kind of formulated between all of the people in the band. So we were working together with the sensibilities we have from other genres and from more modern approach, I guess you could say, or innovative approach, if that's appropriate, for how we came up with the arrangements.
But part of the jazz tradition, even the question of how much to adhere to the tradition or how much to innovate and move forward, I think that idea of being open and creative and innovative has always been a part of the tradition. So I think it's one and the same, not two separate things. So again, I think we're just trying to play honest music, and listen to one another and interact. So Of course, that there's a tradition that we come out of that has paved the way for us to be able to have a common language for that to happen. Yeah, thank you. But I think it's part of it's they're woven together.
Yeah, I think during our studies we were all kind of, I hate to use the word trained, but we go through this type of schooling that stresses a tradition, and I think it takes one to like the tradition, to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I love the tradition. I love the way it sounds. But the band itself, like, we're existing in 2022. So, that's the sound that you're getting is, 2022, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of the songs I noticed seem to be a tribute, if that's the right word, in reference to the pandemic. Pandemia and Alone Together are the tunes I'm thinking about. As artists and musicians, how do you reconcile or address something as life-changing as a global pandemic? And a related question for me is how much of the album is about emergence and reinvention?
Oh, man, I think that's a question I'm not qualified to answer. I actually just play the bass, if I'm being real. But no, honestly, I don't. The tune "Pandemia," I think it was a pandemic tune in the sense that it was something I wrote sitting in my piano, late at night when I wasn't playing much music elsewhere. But I think the name sort of came around as a joke. The first running joke was that it was a different name every tune. It was
starts with the P.
Pandemia, Pandelicus, Pandelagia. Who knows? It just that's where we eventually had to land on something. Yeah. So there's that. I mean, I think in as much as the album is our own experience, having lived through that, I think it's just an expression of our own experience. But yeah, that's what I would say.
I think we were fortunate enough to have a couple things going on throughout the pandemic, so I think that kind of stressed our camaraderie in a good way. The tune "Alone Together" is a jazz standard, pretty popular standard, with a pretty odd song form, so we just made it more odd. And it happened just to be called "Alone Together," so a nod to the pandemic. One of the good things about the pandemic, though, was it forced us to be alone with our instruments and kind of strip it down to a primal, intimate level. So, I'm pretty thankful for that.
Andrew, I remember you sharing at the North Star Church of the Arts in Durham last weekend that you wrote many of the songs, and every songwriter approaches the process a bit differently. So could you just describe how you do this?
I'm happy when the songs find me, and I try to be ready for them when they come. I feel like it's kind of like catching pixie dust with a butterfly net. You just got to kind of be ready for it and practice all the time. I tell my students, to check out. I think Kenny Werner has some YouTube information where he's talking about daring somebody to try to write 5 bad songs because one of them will end up being good. Yeah. And I definitely. I think, and then beyond that, I think the magic of songwriting is in the editing. It's taking the information you have and distilling it into exactly what you want.
And what else, Andrew or Paul or Donovan, do you hope that listeners get out of the album as a listening experience? I also noticed that you have a Herbie Hancock song and a Frank Rosolino tune, Blue Daniel, 1960, played by the Cannonball Adderley Quintet, first recorded by Shelly Manne and his men, both from the 1960s. So I was wondering if I was picking up on a post-bop theme here. These are just both wonderful tunes.
Oh, yeah. You look at that mid to late 60s, Coltrane, Cannonball, Miles, are you kidding me? That's like some of the lifeblood of all the music that came after that for jazz musicians. So digging into that, repertoire is a pleasure.
I just like to think our album is a playlist of songs that we like.
Right. That's exactly how I feel about it. Yeah.
I like to tell my students that I teach that, find out the things you like and get into those things because you'll play those things. and people will receive those things in a different way because it's genuine. You like them. You genuinely like it. But we just want people to feel joyful when they hear it, you know. We want, you know, all the good things. You know, it's an offering from us to you all. So thanks for listening.
And I was speaking with Peter Burke the other day about Thrio. So this next question is actually from him. How does this album fit within your longer plan for Thrio? What's the sort of longer vision here?
You can't have a volume 1 without a volume 2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, stay tuned for volume 2. I don't want to give it away, but we're thinking about making it a feature album featuring you all.
What does that mean?
Feature album. It will feature some people in the area that we like, or if we can afford some cameos, we might do that too. But we'll basically just feature people that we like to play with, vocalists, horn players. Yeah. So.
Very neat. And can I ask when on the timeline that might be in the works?
I mean, volume. I mean, you gotta give us a little bit. You know, saying volume 1. You know, but we'll see what we can do. You know, volume 1 was a joint effort between the three of us to make it happen, and we made it happen, which is a joy and a blessing in and of itself. So we're excited. But yeah, I mean, we hope there'll be a volume 2. The thing is, I can't speak for
volume 2. There's gonna be a volume 2, man.
There's gonna be a volume 2.
What are you talking about, man?
Well, no, there's gonna be a volume 2. I'm just saying we enjoy the recording process.
Yes.
You know, we enjoy that act of like setting something down and being, hey, we did this at this moment. You know, some people say recording for posterity, and I think there's a lot to be said for that. You know, we're working as a group. You know, we're doing this, and it's like this is a snapshot of us in a moment in time.
And it really is a snapshot. I mean, you think about we really did the record in a half of a day. You know, it was just what time we get started? I don't know. We had a schedule. You know, we went in there. It was like we started playing about 10, 11 maybe. I don't know. We were done by 5. That was it. That was the record.
Yeah, that's everything.
That was it.
It was about 6 or 7 hours. 6 or 7 hours, I think. Yeah.
So really, we could look out for volume 2 tomorrow or something.
Could be. We're already writing material. I know I got some tunes.
I have some tunes too.
I have some tunes already. We got to get on the other side of this little triangle tour and then get back to a rehearsal schedule, and so we can work some music out, you know. Yeah.
Well, very much looking forward to volume 2 when that comes into fruition, as well as tonight. I know you have a performance to put on. So lastly, where can people find your music or follow along your gigs?
www.thriomusic.com. You know, we have our calendar on there, a little bit of information, probably just a few photos of us or other accompanying information. But we have a calendar on there, thriomusic.com.
Follow us on all the socials, but you can catch us out here in these streets. We're at Bomb Brothers Brewery in Cary every Thursday at the Session.
And what's the session? A jam session, I presume.
Yeah, it's the session where, you know, you have, you know, the house band, which is us, Thrio, and people come with their instruments, aka their axes, and they come and sit in. And we rejoice in this music, you know, at the Session. Yeah.
8 to 11.
Also, you mentioned posterity, and I think for posterity's sake, we need to hear, why are you named Thrio?
It's like a trio, but there's 3 of us. You know what I'm saying?
So there it is for all of history. Thank you all so much for speaking with us for 6 Count. Is there anything is there anything else any of you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. Thank you for doing the interview, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, shout out to 6 Count. Give them a follow.
Okay. We gotta expect you guys out at the Thrio show, the Thrio session, every Thrio event. Come on now.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to 6 Count. I'm Zara Wild. You can let us know what you thought of the episode or recommend a guest by emailing us at sixcountpodcast@gmail.com or by finding us on Twitter or Instagram at sixcountpodcast. If you'd like to support our work in telling the story of jazz in Durham, you can make a gift to the show by following the link in our episode description. Thanks for listening.